Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to all my friends on this earth ship. Welcome to my sacred space. It's a time each week where we can speak about spiritual alchemy. I am Cindy Carter, an intuitive, an artist, an energy healer, and a spirit consultant. This series of alchemy podcasts each Sunday, no matter if I put them out early in the morning or late in the afternoon, they're my gift to you to allow you a different perspective of life, especially right now where we are to learn about compassion for ourselves. You see, when you hold compassion for yourself first, you can be the foundation for new ideas and sovereign expression, and your assistance to others, your service, becomes strong and unwavering. And this assists you in your body above all else when you hold compassion for yourself first. That's what we talk about each week when we talk about alchemy. Last week we talked of the grand purge, that we are seeing and experiencing other people's detoxing of their ancestral warriors, their pitiful thoughts, their atrocious ideas, their swear words, their spewing. It's happening to everyone. And we see it and feel it, partly because of what's happening on the earth. You know, as we are being divided further and further, and our polarities begin to show, we're purging out all that no longer serves us. So this can be a tricky place to navigate an earth while everyone is in their detox, including yourself. You have to be very careful of your own shadow aspects that arise, and you want to call them outside influences. These are things inside your body that need attention, inside your mind that need attention. This is where you need to learn to adapt. So this is where you can be conscious of adaptation and it being the key to life. These lives that we've had have had all type of traumas, occurrences of death. And if we didn't learn to adapt our life, adapt the source within us through all that muck and navigate an earth without a mental body trauma, without an emotional body trauma, this is adaptation. And the most successful people on earth that are adaptable are those 120-year-olds on earth. Go talk to them. I had a grandfather that lived to be 102. He was a very happy and very adaptable human. He saw life in a bigger picture. He could see from a universal plane. This is what I'm trying to teach you. Compassion for yourself would do that. You see, an adaptation is an improved function. And adaptations can be and should be natural, forming. But are they? We adapt to outside conditions, to outside stimulus, so it would be great if those influences were natural and not artificial. But here we live in a world of many falsehoods, many artificial influences for you to navigate and hope that you aren't altering yourself to that artificial idea. But it happens in very subtle and very unseen and unknown ways. Our adaptation. So the adaptations of our life have taken many forms, right? Like what version of human are we on right now? 5.0? You see, genetic manipulation of a humanity has occurred on many, many lifetimes. But what we're trying to do is not allow people to influence outside constructs, to influence our DNA. This is what soul healing is about. You see that all the species of all kinds do adapt their bodies and their behaviors. You know, sometimes they allow better evasion of predators through their adaptation. Or they build a new protein that functions better in their body temperature. Or they might even grow a new anatomical feature that allows their organism to access all kinds of valuable new resources. Like X-ray vision, echolocation. I could think of all kinds of things, but all of these new adaptations could be natural. It could be forthgiving into life force. But we have to continually ask, how are we adapting and to what are we adapting to? Like, what thoughts and behaviors and activities do we as humans engage in that are a product of our unnatural environments? I mean, TV, Wi-Fi, smart meter, smartphones, surveillance by nefarious sources. This is not what I want to adapt to, really. So how can I adapt myself away from these sources of influence? Perhaps focus and attention is what is wanted and what is already in our essence. See, if we concentrate and bring focus to the idea that you are divine, that you are the source code, you're not the dribble of Wi-Fi. You're not the cellular degradation of smart meters. You are life. You are love. You are peace. Right now, you can access this if you choose through adaptation. Adaptation can look like a lot of things to a lot of different people. Right now, there are companies out there that are hiding their true intentions. I found one here in Asheville. They work with the CRISPR gene. Well, I knew the minute I heard about the CRISPR gene years ago that this was not going to turn out good. And now I've just read something yesterday that scientists are saying that the CRISPR gene and the altering of that CRISPR gene through this DNA entrainment that they do actually wipes out, reorganizes all the cells and the DNA in unknown ways. It's like you have just refiled all your perfect files. Even if you had a couple wonky files in there, it might have taken out 10 or 20 files when it only needed to take out one. So why would we allow some company with a nefarious idea of gene editing to come and help us adapt to human existence? That's bull. So this adaptation of human existence over time, it spills over into examples like this one. So Susie down the street, she works at a corner store, young gal, but she's not able to count back your change because change is physical, more analog, and the calculator she's learned math on since first grade is digital. So you get to assist the cash register when the cash register isn't working. You have to, help Susie out. You have to show her how to count back change. You can see the light bulb go off in her head. You see, she didn't adapt to anything natural, not the natural use of her brain to count back change. She adapted to the outside source of not living with the knowledge. See, we humans are both analog and digital. We have a brain that has like this little signal processor in it that can translate both signals. It does have the ability to process both of them, analog and digital. We have the ability to count back the change. If the adaptation of outside influences did not occur, if the brain is taught otherwise. So we want to adapt in ways that are not artificial. It's natural to count back change and not rely on an artificial system. So here we sit after 100-year reign of a most manipulated education system. And I kind of got to experience that firsthand. I went to 4 high schools, from Florida to New Jersey. That is night and day difference in education system, worst to best. I saw all kinds of ideas about education. You see, with adults and kids in a huge divide of what is brought forth as a solution in their brain and what is practical in this world. Like, I never got algebra and I never will because it's not practical in my brain. Maybe it's practical in someone else's, but they taught it to me. We are like a quantum thinking brain. We have the abilities, the natural functioning to bring quantum thoughts and quantum understanding into our present lives. So why aren't we doing it? Well, some are. But some become really complacent in the understanding of outside influence. And that becomes their driving force. You see, we become really malleable in these forces. Then all of a sudden, we can't make change at the cash register because of a simple adaptation to our outside environment. This is like when we're trying to describe quantum thinking and quantum timelines. This is what I'm talking about. We have the ability to adapt to a different timeline, not the linear one that you're experiencing in the Matrix. This is like folding the linear time blanket. So that far end of the blanket right over there, if you laid out that big blanket, bring it over here. So you can see and feel and touch the other side of this linear time as you see it. But right now, see it. Not later, see it. Don't wait for it, see it. It's here. Time is quantum, not linear. So you're folding upon itself so many possibilities of life. That's why people can't predict anything right now, because of the quantum folding of time. Adaptation. We must adapt to our surroundings, but what makes up our surroundings? Right now, we have false narratives and false broadcasting, false thoughts and intentions, out-of-center ideas, dividing humanity, pulling a humanity away from a natural idea of life, where imposed constructs and laws and enforcements are present, and they don't even serve life. So what are you going to do? You're going to see life differently. You're going to adapt to the natural idea of life, not the malleable existence of non-life. Humans have the ability to bring their intuition and processing into a quantum and ancient level of themselves and bring it right here to be utilized right now, to be honored right now by your body and your mind. Bring in your wisdom, not the construct of the wisdom. Bring back the reverence of the ceremony, not the ceremony. This is heart wisdom. This is compassionate wisdom. This is what we need to adapt to, our own soul retrieval, not a societal construct. This is adaptation. This would be true adaptation. We need to remember what we want to adapt to and not accept the cycle that's been put before us. Humans are not free on this earth. Adaptation of free is a great idea. So personally, freedom feels a lot like our ancient qualities, unless you get bogged down in your past life stories, which I'm not going to do. I'm talking about cellular and quantum freedom of your idea of life and the liberty of your soul. So we must adapt to life and the processes of life, not necrosis, not death. We can adapt to many things. It's your choice. You can adapt to the shadows that you see inside of you because they're there for what they are and make an adaptation to your beautiful tendencies of life and your love and reverence for all of life. This is not adapting to the Wi-Fi. It's adapting to your truth. So we adopt the idea of change, sometimes of radical change, Well, we are in a phase of soul retrieval right now that's considered a phase of radical change, where we're bringing in the aspects of lifetimes of your soul fragments right into this body to bring the consciousness of your wisdom right here. So it's inevitable that these changes could be drastic. They can be brutal sometimes. Others are gradual. But whether they're drastic or gradual, there's a need to learn how to adapt to life's changes. Going with the flow is what you hear people say. It's so true. Things will always happen to and around you. How do you cope? How do you react? You see, if you respond instead of react, you're the observer of the occurrence. You're adapting in a more natural way, because the calmer you are in your mind, the calmer you are in your heart, the calmer you are in your lower body connected to the earth, the calmer the outcome of the event. It starts with you. The ability to bring an ancient expression of yourself comes through if you choose adaptation of that. So do you allow yourself to drown in these wild changes that are happening on earth? Are you going to be the victim of the circumstances, or do you grab a surfboard and move through it with as much grace and ease as you can attain? My friend Michael grabs a surfboard whenever he can. We sure need to unstick ourselves from places of artificial influence that require us to adapt to it. We need to see what is the natural grid to adapt to. There is a crystalline, beautiful earth grid that we can attach life to if you choose to step away from all the artificial. Life is presented in the unseen, in the unheard, and the unfelt until you see natural life. It must be your intention. So some changes are from bad to good. Some people choose to remain in a state of sadness over what they've lost. But we came to an earth to be on a continual losing of things, it seems. Situations, we lose ideas, we lose people, we lose momentum, we lose loved ones. This is life in a human body factory. Somehow we were never taught how to gracefully lose things. Because really they're never lost. Quantum fields make for things to be constant if you choose them to be. Like your faith in the universe and your higher self to allow your safe passage on an earth. Those are great things to intend and have adaptation towards. Are you being sucked in by a daily soap opera of activities, of gossip and nosiness and judging of others? This doesn't sound like the alchemy of peace or joy to me. So there's a choice. This is the forgotten quotient. Even the first man on earth, this became forgotten quickly when the division of life occurred. Let's unify life in our minds and in our hearts. Unify and adapt to the natural life, not a fake life. So, will our adaptation be so drastic, based on outside influences, that we can't ever count change? Or will we turn into a leaf shape so we won't show ourselves to any predators? Katydids look like leaves in an adaptation for evading predators. So when outside influences become too much, organisms can actually stop the use of a certain feature of themselves. Some fish in dark waters no longer have the use of their eyes, even though they have eyes. This is not adaptation. This is evolution of non-functionality. It has a big fancy word. I'm not even going to say it because I can't pronounce it. But yikes, that's not adaptation. We don't want that, to be so entranced in our environment that we lose our abilities. Well, if we're not careful and aware, each person could lose their own abilities of functioning in a body, of being happy and beautiful in a life. This can happen to each human if we don't focus. It brings to mind all the human ideals that are no longer used. Well, I feel that humans had so many senses that were of grace and brought forth with no effort. I mean, we had navigational skills. There's no question that our early ancestors traveled all kinds of distances without having any detailed maps or GPSs. Humans were capable of traveling or trading within hundreds and hundreds of miles from the locations that they lived in. That's spatial cognition, mental mapping. What else have we lost? Humans also at one time had a second set of hearing. Did you know that? It's no longer used. Many cadavers have been found with this second set of hearing, along with appendixes and tailbones and wisdom teeth. No longer needed, because we're not plant-based anymore. Evolution. Come on, it's Human 5.0. It's adaptation to the divine source within you. So for us to be on this earth and be comfortable in our bodies, to be the alchemist, we have to realize our place on this earth and understand our power that's inherent in us. We are the expression of so many lives. Let us not become the food and the fodder of outside influences that take us away from our truth. The truth of our love of all beings, the reverence for all life, and the ideal that beauty is for everyone equally. Let's adapt to our surroundings. Let's adapt to what is put in front of us, but adapt in the way of remembering who you are at a deep down ancestral level with an influence of a soul's progression through this life. Remember, you are the joy and the harmony of many lives that's now being represented in a quantum alliance right in your body. Kind of fancy, huh? Kind of important sounding, huh? You can adapt into love, adapt into peace, no matter the outside influences or occurrences. I send you this message as I feel huge changes upon this earth, within each human. I wish peace through your transitions, but I do hope that you will access the ability to adapt peacefully and mindfully to your future truths. Now, not later, fold the blanket upon you. See the end now. The way you handle the next several months will make a huge difference in your remaining days on this earth. Detach from the artificial. Remember your divine truth and adapt to a peaceful way. And I am noticing that many of you are struggling right now. I'm being contacted, and many of you can still contact me. I do a remote energy healing session called Holographic Healing, where you ground and recenter and recalibrate your cellular and etheric bodies. It's very powerful, and it does bring people back to their center, back to their divine portion of their life force that they have somewhat lost a little bit of. I also do some powerful spiritual consulting where we just look at and talk together honestly on the phone, allowing like a different perspective for your life. It really does help to see your life in a different way. You can sign up for either of these kind of sessions on my website. I also do emergency sessions for people who are in spiritual crisis or in emotional emergencies. I also have an 11-day activation called the Template of Grace, which is an MP3 recording that builds into an activation of grace into your life. I'm having a lot of fantastic and profound feedback on that one. I also have on my website a free ebook called Solene, the Ancient One. It's a compilation of 10 years of channelings about immortality from a collective I called the Ancient One. You can find that also on my website. So let us remember that adaptation to organic and natural life is what is to be focused on. Life is the answer to all things. And I wish many days of blessed life for you. Many blessings.